Oh, Kevin, where the heck are you? Oh,
I'm in the
you're in the little
corner.
corner.
You can't put baby in the corner.
What are you doing down there?
Just hanging out, just chilling, relaxing. No big deal.
Like,
Oh, good morning.
where'd you go?
It's been a heck of a morning already, so
Oh, ain't that the truth, right?
mini Kevin Donald.
That's so
Oh,
funny.
it's good to hear that roar again. So how are
Yes.
you doing?
I'm doing great. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
I did. I did have a good Thanksgiving. Had a lot of people come through town, a couple more people than we expected, so that was nice. And so a lot of visiting, a lot of food. Still have a lot of food. Um,
Well, that's great.
yeah, we won't get into the whole. Do you ever see those Spanish hams at like Costco or whatever that you cut off the bone?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Those, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
yeah. My hands hurt because I'm still trying to cut it off the bone. So we entertained with it a little bit. It's a lot of meat, and I'm still trying to figure it out. So that's probably
Uh,
my weekend is finish cutting that up.
I understand a very sharp knife is is the key for that.
Yeah. Yes. So
Oh,
how
that's
was
awesome.
your Thanksgiving? What did you end up doing? Maybe a couple turkeys here and there?
Yes, I actually did two turkeys. I fried one at my brother-in-law's, and I fried one for myself. And my family has or my wife makes this amazing Thanksgiving casserole that is
Mm.
just like all of the stuff, and we eat it year round. And when we realized we weren't coming back with any leftovers, we're like, we got to do this again. So we just did Thanksgiving
Oh,
again,
okay.
just to make the casserole. Uh, well, good morning,
That's funny.
Amon, Donald. Um, Thanksgiving calzone
Okay.
leftovers.
Uh,
Oh, that's fantastic. Hey, Cody. Cody, I saw your message. I'm a little busy at the moment, but I will be getting back to you in just a little bit. All right. Enterprise AR. Yeah, yeah. We are set out to make everyone hungry. That is definitely a thing that is out
I have not fried a turkey in a number of years, but
there.
man,
Yeah.
it is when if you're gonna have turkey, I think that's the best way to have a turkey. The fried
Oh,
turkey. It's just so good.
it is so good, and it frees up the oven for all of the other stuff to be
Hmm.
made. Like, so you can kind of time it out so like your the turkey gets finished and all the stuff is coming out of the oven, so everything you're eating is hot, and it's not like, okay, well, we pulled the turkey out and we got it under some tin foil, now
Yeah.
make everything else, right? Like, that's no good. So
And you could go from frozen to cooked in an instant and make new friends from the fire department at the same time.
yes, yeah. Yeah, yes.
If you ever fried a turkey, you know that joke. Or if you ever
Well,
saw seen
so if you're
people
thinking
try to
about it,
yeah,
yeah,
don't do that.
yeah, water and frozen stuff is your enemy around a deep fryer. It
Yes.
will blow up your house and just wreck your life. Um, so, all right, we
Oh,
have,
too much.
uh, let us know in the chat what you did for Thanksgiving. We'd love to hear from you guys. We've been off for a little while here, so let us know what you guys did. If you did anything unusual, or if everything was just humdrum, that's okay too. But we're going to be talking about like all things Copilot in the Power BI Fabric space today. So this is quite a bit, and so we're going to be diving right into it because we were hoping to like actually do like some live demos and stuff like that. And um, but we want to first ground ourselves in what Copilot has classically meant, because Copilot, the concept of Copilot, has been around for 2-3 years, something like that.
Mhm.
And so, like, there's some experiences in Copilot that's very mature and works exceedingly well. And then there's some experience in Copilot that's brand new that a lot of people haven't seen how it works. I'm going to say we're definitely like in an MVP stage here. Like, it is out. It worked. Some of the things work really great. Some of the things need improvement. Some of them are have further to go. Right. So Kevin is like our old hand in the the classic space. So let's go ahead and dive into Kevin. We'll share your desktop.
Okay. Yeah, so what we were going to start off with Copilot, the one that's kind of been around for a while. I think it has been around for, I want to say, at least over a year, a number of years type of thing, is the Copilot experience from GitHub. And so you can sign up with your GitHub account. You have to become, I think, a pro level, and then you have to add on Copilot, and there are costs for those. So it's not just free. I think there's a free trial for using it and everything, but you have to set up on your GitHub profile, and then in tools on your desktop. For example, what we're showing right here, right now, is Visual Studio Code. And you see, I have two extensions installed here. If I move my coffee out so I can hit my Zoom buttons, you have these two extensions that are Copilot and Copilot Chat. So the Copilot is going to be the interaction one that as you're sitting there coding in whatever language, it's going to make suggestions for you, do autocomplete, or we'll call it autocomplete. It will make suggestions, and you could just tab, it'll end up completing that bit of code. You can then change it or review it. And then the other one is your GitHub Copilot chat. So you can sit there and have a conversation with Copilot. So they're both, I think, great. I end up using just a regular Copilot more than chat, but now that I'm looking back at it, I was trying to do something with SQL yesterday, and I just couldn't remember a couple of the functions and everything. And so I was trying to get Copilot to prompt to do it. And I did it in the code environment where I started writing comments saying what I wanted to do. And then I wrote a select statement, and then it threw out the whole rest of the select statement for me. So that would be one way to prompt Copilot to do it. In the chat, you could end up having kind of a conversation. And I'm going to change over to the chat. We all know how well demos went for me last time we were here. So I'm not going to try to do a live demo. But let me first scroll down. So you have this window at the bottom, right, is where you're putting your prompts in. Ask Copilot, you ask it some type of question, or you use slash for the commands. So I did slash help just a little bit ago, right? And here's some of the things that you could do. And I've heard a lot of people use this is explain. Um, so you have a set of code that you select it and you ask it to explain what that code is doing. So that's very good if you inherited something.
So Kevin, is it safe to say that we're looking to
imagination.
Use our imagination on this part of it?
To use your imagination on what you could do with Copilot, definitely, right? Or he's trying to pull me into doing a live demo, and I'm still got weeks ago. So
It's all right. It's all right.
I would love to do that, but I'm just not prepped for it, and not gonna do it again. Not getting even any prompts.
I enjoy using GIFs. Go ahead, keep going.
I like the GIFs too. It was great. So I've used this a whole bunch is with SQL and then also with Python, right? Especially with everything that is Fabric now, because I don't have the Copilot up in the Power. Well, when I first started doing this, it wasn't even announced for the Fabric space or anything like that. So, and as Chris is going to show you, getting it started up in the Fabric space, there's a couple things that you have to do. So what I was doing is I would say, I want to do this in Python. I didn't know how to do it. I would come in and start a new Python document and then just have a conversation pretty much with Copilot. And it would give me, a structure to work with, a set of code to work with. I test it down here, then move it up into my notebook, just copy and paste. Worked great. And the reason that I ended up jumping to Copilot is I first started doing this when ChatGPT came out, right? And one of our listeners, I don't know if Mark has made it here yet today, he had a very interesting technique of using like ChatGPT, Copilot, is he was reading some books to learn some more, say on Python, right? When he was getting into it, and he kind of used it as his study buddy, right? So he would get to a point in the book, and he, would go, "Well, I don't know that I understood this, or I want to go deeper," and he would go ask either ChatGPT or Copilot to go ahead and explain it some more and give him more information. And I thought that was a great way to read a technical book. So hats off to Mark for that suggestion. I've been doing that on things that I grab as well. So um, yeah, it's a whole new world, and I think we're going to get a whole lot deeper into it with stuff that you have, right, Chris?
That is exactly right. So why don't we take that moment to like actually switch over and
And Enterprise AR egging me on to come on,
yeah.
live on the edge. I'm
Well,
still
Enterprise AR, you are about to see us going deep into like actually getting this up and running, or showing how this works live on air. Okay, so
yeah.
a few things I want to go in, so we understand this stuff, right? Like Copilot right now has some limitations on who can do what with it. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do. Where's the limitations here? It needs to be turned on in your tenant level, right? So this is a big deal, right? So it's got to be enabled, right?
hmm
The workspace you're going to be running into has to be an F64 or a premium capacity for you to access this stuff. And it,
Now, one
listen,
one one thing here, right, is even though like we'll talk about trial capacities being the equivalent of an F64 or a
mhm,
P1,
mhm.
this does not work on the trial SKUs. So just
Yeah,
because I've seen people get confused with that as well.
that is exactly right. It doesn't work on the trial capacities. It's something that we need to uh, do in these like official capacities that are out there. So be
Yeah.
aware of that. This is a limitation. If you, frankly, if you want this to be outside of these capacities and you think that makes sense, um, uh, go post that out on ideas.fabric.microsoft.com. Um, Honestly, I'd like to see more and more of these capabilities go to non-trial capacities, or some of this stuff like make its way to PPU or something along those lines, right? So there's another alternative for how you can get access to it, but right now it is limited to just this. Okay. Now, once that's turned on, let's before we go into the notebooks, or let's talk about the. Let's quickly hit on what we did last week. We're not going to go too deep into it, but let's talk about creating a report. Okay, so easy enough to create a report. Choose a data set. Pick a published semantic model. So I'm going to choose my data guide model v2. I'm not going to auto report. I'm going to say create a blank report. And then if I've got everything turned on right, I'm going to see this little icon up here, the Copilot icon is going to show up. I can hit Copilot, and then it's going to give me a couple options. So create a report that shows where I'll be able to like type in the information or suggest content for this report. So quickly create a report that shows internet sales over each year and insights. Hit enter on that. Oh, you couldn't see that because we are in the way. Ha 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 ha. That stinks. Uh, but I was actually
There you go.
I just typed in um, this part right here. Right. It asked me this. I typed in this, and it's going to run, and it's going to do a generation of my report. And now, after that's in place, I can actually see this is what it produced. Pretty good, right? We kind of talked about that. You can also do
hmm
suggest content for this report. And zoom in. I clicked on suggest content for the report. That's what goes into the prompt. I hit enter. It's going to think it for a little bit again, and then it's going to come up with some suggestions, right? So I could see, okay, what are the things I might want to do? So I could like go ahead, click on create, or I could go in and say create a page to examine the internet sales by order date, product, subcategory, customer, and currency. That's pretty good, but actually, I don't want to have currency. Let's say by customer and geography. So I'm going to remove geography. Come on now. Oh, well, let me edit it. Edit? Really? Oh, down here. So I edit it. You click on edit it. Oops. You click on edit, and it brings it down into the prompt area here. And you can go in and change what you want to say. Hit enter. It's going to run and generate this page. That just is what I had here. Up, 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 up. Come on now. Now, some of the stuff will will be really great, and others, a little less.
less impressive.
Yes. Models are always growing. Something to note here, though, just I want to call this out. These large language models are built upon be able to like go over data and get good metadata from it. So this is going to be a place where like going deep into making sure that your fields in your tables have in your semantic models have good table names, field names, and have really detailed descriptions on it.
Mm-hmm.
Those LMMs, large language models, no LLMs.
Yeah, I think you said that right.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
They're going to go over all of that information. So the more
Mm-hmm.
stuff, more context you can bring into your semantic models, the more information Copilot's going to have to be able to generate these types of insights. Okay, so
All right.
this is something to spend. Not you've always wondered why the heck do you spend time on that stuff? It's frankly
Yeah, it's gonna help this out. Yeah, I mean, just like how giving that information, right, is always helped out Q&A as well, right?
right.
In
Yep.
a way, right? Kind of Q&A itself wasn't branded Copilot when it came out, right? But it was probably using something similar, with these type of things because it was definitely looking at all the metadata within the semantic model, which was called dataset when it came out.
Right.
For those for those for those youngins that didn't know data sets existed. Um,
uh,
but
right. So.
what I think was kind of important with what you were just showing, right,
Mhm.
and also kind of bridging what I was saying was in Visual Studio Code, right? The concept of making this conversational, right,
Yes.
is in Visual Studio Code. You have the GitHub Copilot chat, right, which is the conversational part. Now it was conversational with you up there, and I think that's going to be one of the big things and one of the themes that we'll see across all these copilots because like you were showing is okay, here's a starting point, right? You have this blank piece of paper, which we all know is really hard for us to start with just a whole blank piece of paper, or a lot of people and say, well, where do I go from here? And ask a question, get something out there, and then just keep asking questions and refine it. Um, we tend to do that with with other humans as well. So
Right. Right. And that whole like being good at prompting is going to be a big deal, right?
hmm
So that's something we just have to be aware of. Okay, so let's head back. Now, the next thing we're going to be talking about is inside of the Power BI desktop experience. What are the Copilot capabilities that exist inside of here? Now, these are new features that you have to go into options and settings and enable. So under preview features, we're going to see them right down here. summary with the Copilot visual, and improved Q&A with Copilot. Okay. So a few notes. Actually, I had it right on here. Oh, I flipped off of it. All right, let's.
Don't flip us off.
Yeah, what the heck, man? Okay. Yeah. You're if you're going to be using the Copilot for Q&A, something you need to know first is your data set has to have Q&A enabled, right? So inside the data set that you're going to be using, you have to make sure Q&A is turned on. This is a big deal, okay? And this data set has to be in that premium capacity model, just like the others. Okay, so you can't run this on your classical uh, just pro capacities. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do.
Okay, so even
Yeah.
though we have those two options we turn on in desktop,
Mm-hmm.
then the data set that you're going to use those options are on must be on uh, an equivalent of a P1 or better still,
A P1 or better, or a Fabric 64 or an
or Fabric
64
64.
or higher. Yes.
Okay, so it won't just show up for you. Like even if you turn them on, right?
Mm-hmm.
You may not see these things if you don't have that. Okay.
Right. So we've got that in place. I don't think there's anything else we've got to do there. So I'm going to make sure that I use my Data God Model V2 inside of my my data set. So I'm going to go to my One Lake Data Hub. I'm going to choose my Power BI semantic models, and I'm going to find my certified uh, Data God Model
It was
V2.
V2. Yep.
Yep. And I'm going to connect to this. Okay. Once this is connected, uh, this experience exists right inside of the Q&A. So I'm just going to go to Q&A and uh, what happened to it? There's supposed to be a button here to prompt with, where did it go? You're supposed to be able to enrich your Q&A experience through here. I don't know why I'm not seeing it here now. It was just there. It was right at the top, but hey, it's not there now. But as you ask questions, it will start to, actually, let's see. Can a good view of sales orders from the internet? Let's see how this goes. Boy. No, yeah, Nate, I already did that preview feature toggle and restarted it. So, and it worked before.
And I thought it worked, yeah, as we were getting set up when you were kind of showing it.
Wow. All right. Well,
See what happened. I'll take the blame. I did something to piss off the demo gods, and they're punishing us for about a month. So,
well, no, I am sure I did something wrong here, but yes, this is going to go just fine. This, generally speaking, this is a fairly nice enhancement. You got to do some, and it might be that I need to do more enrichment on this side, but I could have swore we had a button there that we were working with. But okay, so there's that. Now, the other thing that we enabled is the preview feature on the smart narratives. Now, I am a huge fan of smart narratives because adding in some visual text to a report can be incredibly powerful in helping people understand. What do all these numbers really mean to them? Because I think it's something like less than 30% of the population can look at numbers and properly infer the correct analysis from that. Whereas a written summary expands that audience greatly. right? So this is where we can go in. And if we click on custom, we get the traditional smart narrative that gets generated from us, okay? If we click on Copilot Preview, it's going to ask us, it's going to give us these prompts here about, hey, what do you want to see? Give me an executive summary, answer likely questions from leadership, create a bulleted list of insights, or you can really fill in and write out what it is you want to see. Now, something to note here is Copilot is going to reference whatever it is inside of your report that you want to have a summary on. So I got nothing in this report because this is a brand new thing that I was putting together for the demo. So there's nothing to summarize here. Okay, you think maybe that's bad, but really what I found is this is great because that means I can take my mature reports that I use all the time and I could say, you know what? I've got my smart narrative up here. Okay, the smart narrative is here and it's all right, but it's the smart narrative, right? I can now create a new narrative to replace it. Now we're gonna make this big so it's easy for people to see. And I could say, yeah, I want to use my Copilot. Oops. Oh no, what happened here? Oh, goody. Yay, buggy UI. Oh, there it goes. I can do it from here. Oh, come on now. Killing me, Copilot.
I think I've read Chocolate as
There
well
we
helps with the demo guides recently.
What's that?
I've read Chocolate. Yeah, sacrificing chocolate, I think.
All right. So I have up here, and then I've got the ability to choose what pages or oh gosh, dang, that was not what I wanted to do. I have the opportunity to choose what pages or visuals on a page that I create something for, right? So it's
Okay.
I don't have to just do one or the other. I could pick, some of the pages or all of the pages. I can create my summary. So I want.
So that's pretty cool because then it shows every page that's in the report and then every visual within those pages.
Yeah, and look at that. You even get a pop-up. So you like if you're not 100% sure what it is you're looking at, like,
okay,
you know what? Maybe these KPI cards aren't useful. Right? Like I just the KPIs is nothing. I want to have it over time. I want to have it by the table, right?
yeah.
I want to do that, right? So, I'll choose those as well, right? So, just to keep it in place. But again, you know what? These individual KPIs are not useful for me. Oops, I can't collapse this. Okay, so I've got these all kind of selected. I'm okay. And I can now say, it says summarize page. I can say summarize page or give an executive summary and answer likely questions and create a bullet list of insights. And I could say create on this. Now it's going to generate a narrative for this visual.
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually.
It's going to think about it for a bit and, all right. Going to use all your GPU.
Right. So now, look at
this. Speaking of that, do we know how much this is sending, I guess, does it send some data back up to the service, to your P1 or anything? So
yeah, it goes back. Well, that is a good question. Yeah, it will. I don't know. That's a good question. It has to go someplace. Unclear on exactly how this one will do that.
Yeah, because as I was joking, it was be using the GPU on your machine. I was thinking, well, geez, probably not really. But then it must have some set of data that it probably, which is why your model has to be backed by that P1 capacity, right? Yep. It's probably sending something back or doing something out of that model area in order to help generate all of this. So
Yeah.
even when you're developing, I would think, which may be why it was a little bit slow there, right? That it had a
Mhm.
little bit of that communication back and forth.
Oh, look at that. It will bounce you to the other page that visual is on, so you can actually gain those insights. Which
Oh, that's
gets
cool.
me to what we could do here is now. Yeah, that's what I want to do. Gosh. Now we could change. Oh my gosh, this could be awesome. Oh man. All right. Not that. Well, okay, we won't do that right away. But we could take that visual, right? Oh, come on now, don't be slow. We could take this and place this on an executive summary page. Right? So we could put this here. Come on, create my narrative. Yeah, create it.
The squirrels are running.
There we go. All right. So we can create this visual here. Now we could do something like grabbing some like common slicers. Let's say we want, I'm just going to use these visuals here.
But you were also saying you could click on the highlighted portions of the text, and that'll take you to the page in the visual, right?
Right, right. But if I interact with it, oh, come on now. Yeah. See, look.
Yeah, it should change
Just
it.
spin. It should change it. Why is it not doing it?
So we almost have a new navigation technique as well, right?
Yeah. Yep. 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 Oh, it's interesting. This did not do that. It was just doing this. Ah, again, the demo gods. I got cocky. uh, um, uh, oh, why don't you ask Copilot chat if it sends back that? That's a great question. So let's do that. So Enterprise AR says, why don't you ask
Yeah.
Copilot chat if it sends back data and see what it says. Okay, let's do that. So here I am. Does the Copilot smart narrative in Power BI send data back to the Power BI service when generating the narrative in the desktop? All right, so that's my question. Let's see what it comes back with.
Okay, for those keeping score at home, now you're up in the browser using the Copilot with Bing Chat, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And remember,
There's so
this is a
many.
Copilot world.
Yeah.
So we're going to be using different Copilots for different reasons. So when we say Copilot, that's not just one thing. Okay. Oops.
Yeah, there's so much context that has to be added to it. Are you using Copilot within Power BI desktop and it has certain things that it's doing? Is it
Oh, look at this.
Copilot with Bing, right?
Yep. All right. According to the article, create a narrative
Mhm.
Power BI. The Copilot Smart Narrative in Power BI does send data back to the Power BI service when sharing the narrative in the desktop. It's a cloud-based service to use generative AI to create reports and narratives. Interesting.
Yeah, it makes sense that it would
Yeah.
need to. So
Yeah. It does not call out the whole The reason I'm asking is like, how would it know if I was going to publish it to an F64 premium capacity, right? Like it's just in desktop. So this might be a situation where if you don't have those things, you could leverage it in desktop and you wouldn't have it anyplace else, but you could still leverage it, right? So that'd be an interesting potential use case. All right.
Well, so that is interesting because you're connected live, so you're producing a thin
Mm-hmm.
report at this point. So
Yep.
the model itself we know is on the F64, but if you're developing a new import model,
So actually, this one is not. This one that I did it in is not. It's in regular. What the heck is this? Sorry. What the
oh,
heck is this?
that's the DAX query. That's what I was trying to demo a couple weeks ago.
What in God's name?
This this is what we were talking about, and I was trying to show how you do a DAX query within Power BI Desktop.
Get out. So I
Oh,
could.
it's wonderful.
So if I went into. Sorry, we're detouring here. Sorry, I just want to see this performance analyzer, so I could start recording, and I could say, dear God,
Refresh one of your visuals.
Yeah, refresh. So I
And
can
then
copy this query.
it should, well, hang on.
Look at
I
that.
was going to say, it's got a button to take you right into it.
Look at this. Look
Yeah.
at this. Look at this, everybody. Run in DAX quick. I was going to copy it and take it over, but you don't have to.
You don't have to.
Just click on that. No.
It is wonderful.
It didn't work.
Well, it worked. It just didn't bring any results back.
Oh, no, here it is.
Oh. Oh, it's because you got multiple evaluates.
Oh, I got it.
So yeah, you had to switch between the different result sets to come back. And then you could have in the define section your measures defined out, right? So like I had a bug in a measure, big surprise. And so I was using this where I told it to define the measure, and then once you modify it, it will tell you that you had it modified, and you get it working. It's one click and updated in the model.
Oh, wow! So
It
I
is
just
really
reformatted it.
Mm-hmm.
And when
But
will it ask
pick one of the measures. If you go back to that, you should have a measure somewhere. Is it in your first evaluate?
Reseller sales amount. Yeah.
Yeah, you should be able to click on the measure itself.
Okay.
And ask it to define it. I know you could get it like if you find it from your data side.
Yeah.
If you find reseller amount, if you filter it over there on your data, find that measure, and then you right click on it, you could tell it to define it in your query.
Interesting. Look at that.
So that's just executing, but then when you define it, now you could override what the definition is.
Where do you do that? Oh, define and evaluate.
Yeah. And so now you see how it's in your define section. And if you just do something to modify this, right? Put a calculate around it or whatever. And it's just kind of small on my end. So I'm having a hard time seeing.
Sorry.
Yeah, you could, there you go.
I added in a calculate.
Yeah. So you see how it has that little prompt telling you that, and you could use your control scroll
right here.
bar. Yeah. You could use your control scroll that this will zoom in and be able to run it instead of having to use zoom in.
Oh,
there you go. Yep.
Okay.
So and now when you sit here and you experiment with it, yeah, you could just click on update model and it'll override it. And now that's the definition within your model.
That's awesome.
This is super cool, right? It was something. Maybe we'll get back to it again next week, and I'll prepare a little bit different demo. Marco has a great hour-long video on using this. But,
Yeah, this is cool. Yeah, I'm not the clearly. I just found it, so I don't know I'm doing that. So.
yeah.
But, all right, so
back to regular scheduled Copilot.
Yes. So okay, we hit on Q&A Copilot. We hit on Smart Narrative Copilot. We hit on creating a report in Copilot. The different ways you can create a report with Copilot. Now, there's another way that you can use.
Yeah, I was gonna say kind of like a good, but wait, there's more.
Yeah, because okay, Kevin, you said you're not good with Python, but you've worked with Python already, right?
I'm doing some Python, right? I'm
Okay.
still, I'll call myself still in the learning mode of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Been working with it for, you know, probably less than a year, right? I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
say that I'm great, and still when I go and read things on it, kind of look at it. But in my world where I was using the Visual Studio Code plugins,
Mm-hmm.
I was having some Python where I wanted to um, screen scrape some stuff, right? And Copilot helped me write a whole bunch of it where I got my example working. I haven't taken it to the next step yet. But yeah, in some of the solutions that I've done, I've had Copilot generate the Python for me. But where you're headed to is a nicer experience with, let you say it,
With notebooks, Copilot
notebooks.
notebooks. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on, too. I got to save this report. Of course, something went wrong. All right, we're just gonna not save it. All right. So this is a cool new feature that is out. It is in preview. So just be aware, like this is still an MVP thing, and I am all sorts of filled with sadness because, um, boy, if I had my like act together, you like way that you should see what we could do if I had my act together. But we're going to be going over this December 13th at noon. This Raj is going to be on the live stream. We're going to go deep into this. This is going to be a much more thorough, like walkthrough of using Copilot in notebooks. So make sure
Oh,
you
nice.
you join us for that. That's going to be quite good. But I'm going to give you the first taste of it, so you can see how it works, what it does, how you could get started in it, because maybe you don't want to wait till then, right? So I'm going to head over into my Fabric workspace. I'm going to a number of things. First, I'm going to make sure that again my Power BI premium capacity is out there. I'm in a premium capacity in F64 or better. I'm then going to say, okay, let's create a new notebook. Okay, and so the reason I have notebook in my list of things is because I am in the data engineering experience.
Mm-hmm.
If I wasn't in my data engineering experience, I could click on this whole more options feature um, and see everything that's available. But for this purposes, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to create a new notebook. Okay. Now, to know that this is going to work, you need to check to make sure that you see Copilot in the upper corner. Okay. Again, this will have to be enabled in your admin space, and this is something that's being slowly rolled out. So even if you've got everything turned on in admin, you might not have this available yet. It's 100% something that's coming. Now, I have worked with this a very little bit, so I'm not the expert. Tune in Wednesday or a week from Wednesday to see the expert go through all of this stuff. Okay, I'm going to show you what I've learned so far. I am not advanced in Python. This is not my space. This is something I've done so very little in. All I've done is copy and paste a handful of things. I don't know this, but I'm starting to learn this. So a few notes. First thing, you want to make sure that you add in your lake house to begin with. Okay, this is a must. Getting this set up and making sure that the lake house is pinned is going to be very important. Okay, as like a first thing. All right. right? Now, I guess we don't have to pin it. It's already
Yeah,
pinned.
the first one you add gets pinned automatically. It becomes your default lake house for the notebook.
Okay, good. All right. Next thing I've learned is spin up your capacity. Okay, so make sure your session gets started. Look, it got started. I'm not running anything in this thing, right? Like this is the default cell that is meaningless, right? But I want to make sure that my Spark capacity was up and running, and it only took 11 seconds. But I don't know about you, Kevin. I've started to see like the capacities take a little bit longer to get up and running.
Yeah, and as we were prepping for this morning, it took almost 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And if you hear a lot of noise, I had some long guys show up, so let me know and I'll mute it. But yeah, it was taking 2 minutes. I've been seeing it take up to 2 minutes lately, but it's great to see for whatever reason this took 9 or 11 seconds, whatever that says. So that's great.
Yep. All right. Now, next thing you want to do is you want to hit the Copilot button. This is going to come over and it's going to give you the whole like welcome to Copilot in notebooks. Simplify your work with AI. Keep in mind inaccuracies are possible. Carefully review
Yeah,
content created.
it's a big generic statement.
Yeah. So I mean, this is be careful with this. I mean, like you need to review your code that's being generated by this. Like you could ask it for one thing. I could say delete everything, and if you're a
Yeah.
tenant admin, don't run that. No, it's generally not going to do that, but you can click on get started. First thing that's going to happen if everything is working right is you're going to see um, uh, this comment and this cell get created. Okay, this is the chat magics is the key to getting Copilot working inside of your Power BI notebooks and inside of your Spark session. Okay, so you've got to get this thing up and running with that. So I started it. I'm going to run this session. It's going to run, and generally speaking, it is relatively fast when it runs this. Can I zoom in and well,
It looked like that Zoom was working.
yeah, but well, I guess it's a little better.
This would be a good place for like another meme to just be shown while we're waiting 20 seconds with dead air.
Your life had been waiting for this moment.
Oh, and look at that. Oh,
Oh man, so close.
Super easy, barely an inconvenience.
still going. Dag nabbit. Now I've
And you've exhausted what's queued up.
we've now run through them all. I'm terribly sorry.
Uh,
As Dr. Evil would say. How about new?
so those
All
in
right,
the chat, come on, tell us some more what you've had for Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
while
no,
we're
oh,
waiting.
there it goes.
Oh,
Okay,
it's done. It's done.
Yep.
Never mind. We don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Gonna need a lot more of those.
It did finish. Yeah, I'm gonna have to bump up my subscription. Why am I just...
All right, so we have the magic commands installed, right? And do people know what magic commands mean, right?
No. What
do you know what they are? Right.
No.
So like when you come in and you have something, like what I've seen them is you have a default language within your notebook. Say like right now you can see at the top Python is your default language.
Mm-hmm.
But if you wanted to use Spark SQL, you use that %% SQL, right? And that changes for that cell to say it's going to use SQL. So that's considered a magic. It's a magic prompt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is what I think I've heard it. So what must be going on here is it's installing this Python code and enabling the magic commands, right? And like we've seen it with semantic link as well. You have different magic commands. Those I think it's %% to help you while you're doing the coding. And so that's what I think you're going to get into next is you'll end up doing something here. Magic commands are when you tell your wife something and she agrees with you. Well, I've been married 25 years. I'm still waiting to find that one.
Ain't that the truth?
So yeah, so those are going to be your helpers, and this is probably going to get into your chat. But I haven't seen this before. So back to your scripted demo.
Yep. All right. Well, scripted.
I said that.
All right. So let's keep going. So let's keep using our Copilot, right? And we're going to see what it can do, what it can't do, and frankly, the idea is that someone like me could start to get in and do something in Python. And I will say that it did relatively well. And I'm actually going to show you what I did yesterday. As I was starting to test this stuff out, I wanted to oh, it doesn't give me my Copilot history, does it? Oh yeah, it does. Look at this. This is cool too. Right? So I went in and I said, okay, hey, yeah, give me some I didn't know about like connecting it, so some of the stuff is I'm still updating, right? So it's giving me some stuff, and so I'm asking like, okay, how do I import pandas? How do I get that up and running, right? Now, and how to install it, right? Like some of the stuff wasn't quite working the way I wanted to, but I was asking all sorts of questions. It was giving me different libraries I want to do. I was then like saying, hey, okay, well, that's great. It's nice to know that, but what code should I put into a cell that adds these libraries? Well, it then gave me code to do that, right? And then it described the code, and I had some issues. I had to like work through it and whatnot. But generally speaking, I went from not being able to write Python to be able to run and create a whole bunch of cells that got me relatively far along the path. And then I kind of reached a brick wall where I didn't know how to go forward. And that's okay. That's fine, right? Like the idea is it's going to get better and whatnot. But it took me way farther along than I would have just by myself. So that's
so that's good. Yeah, and it's kind of like what you were saying is, right? You probably need to know a little bit of the language or whatever you're using to help make sure that number one, it's giving you something that's going to work. Some of the other things is things could be just a little bit different within Fabric, not much, but um, like how you work with the default lake house and stuff like that. Um, I know I had to go look at some Fabric, kind of specific code to try to translate how, like I think with the original Python code when I got it, it wanted me to end up mounting something and things like that. But by adding the lake house, that kind of already has your defaults, and so those things were just a little bit different. So I think as it has more input to learn from, I think it's going to give you better examples, like you're kind of talking about.
Yeah, and so let's try. Oh, okay. Their data name.
Yeah,
let's
try dim currency.
Well, I'm gonna do dim account because
okay,
that's a that might have more information. See how it goes. So it's working on it.
It's interesting you still have it in brackets. I wonder what that's going to do for it.
Longer than a few minutes later.
That's that for you. Okay. Let's insert the code. Look at that. See if we can run it. Did it work?
It's still running.
Oh, is it?
Well, no, it didn't. No, it says it executed. Yeah, you don't have any display or anything like that, right?
Oh, okay.
So if you could ask Copilot, well, how do I display the results or how do I show the results? And it should come back with some code from that. Because that all that did was it ran it as a SQL statement using
Uh,
that Spark SQL, and it's into a data frame named result.
how do I show the data frame called result? Because I don't know how to do that.
And this is that whole thing where it's got to send some stuff up, and yep. So there's some Python to do that.
So I just clicked on edit in. Okay, did that. Oh, it's result.show. Okay.
Yeah, and so result.show, and then there's another one called display. Display is a little bit nicer because it'll format it more as a table.
Okay.
So ask how can I show the results formatted as a table? And I like you add that little red line there so we'll see. I do feel that
Oh,
yeah, there you go. Oh, so now it's going to tell you to do it over using pandas.
Okay, so let's create a data frame on this.
Yeah, so that's going to import pandas, and then it's going to convert your Spark data frame to a pandas data frame, and then it uses display.
Look at that. I queried stuff there. And if to
Nice.
write any Python myself, can you the results? Let's see what it comes
And
up with.
so what do we think it's going to do? So it should put something like there's a plotting library. I can't remember what the names are, but I would assume it's going to. Yep.
Plotting?
Yep.
Let's see. Holy cow. All right. Again, I don't know what any of this means, but I don't see anything that says delete. And so I'm looking for stuff like delete or drop or whatever, because I don't know what any of it is, right? I don't see
Yeah.
anything bad here, so this is good. Let's see if it works.
I like the comment that it puts there. Attention, AI generated code.
But we could use that like Visual Studio thing for explain this to me too, right? Look at that.
A wonderful chart.
Oh, beautiful. I don't know exactly what this means, but hey.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just you can see it has a count in there, right?
Okay.
Let's see. Your result pandas operator. Was there an operator column or something like that, or what was?
Yep.
Yeah,
There's an operator.
yeah. So
column.
it chose the operator column for whatever reason.
Okay.
Summarized the data by that using a count, and then it showed that count in a donut chart.
Oh, this is awesome. So hang on. We're at time.
Just as it was getting interesting.
Yeah, hold on. Let's see. Can we go just a little bit later? Yes, we can. We've got 30. Just a little bit. So I could, okay, so this worked, right? So I could, because this is generic, I could say dim customer, right? right? I could run this.
So while that's running, I'm going to answer
done.
Jack's question, right? Is why does Copilot always seem to prefer donut charts? And my answer to that is because it's in the morning and donuts go well with our coffee. It's about the best reason I have, Jack.
Oh wait, it was a result that show.
What were you changing here?
Okay, I had changed that before. That show comment that was not good, but we can rerun this. Oh, look at that. And now we could, instead of operator, we could do something like, I don't know, I'll just do last name. Right?
Yes. You probably want to leave. Oh, you had that as last name. I'm sorry. I thought it said first name for a second.
Oh, look at that. I mean, this is garbage, but
Right. But that's the idea, right? So it happened to choose operator for whatever reason.
yeah.
Once you see that that's in your data set using that nice table format from Pandas before, you could say, oh, well, let me look at this for, like you did. You picked last name, right? You could pick something that was whatever, but that's great.
Right, I could do title.
Enterprise AR agrees with me. He says Dunkin' Donuts is a AI, open AI investor. That's why it always uses donut charts.
But this is fantastic, right? Like I have literally, I've never successfully really created anything of material in Python, and now I have. I've been able to do that with very little assistance from the peanut gallery, mostly running on Copilot. Was it perfect? No, but it was pretty good, I think.
Yeah, well, as your skills, right, evolve in it, right, which is why it's always good to go back, even if you don't know the language, go back and read it and try to figure out what it's doing, because then you're going to start asking better questions, better prompting, right,
Yep.
like we talked about earlier, and then its results are going to get better, and you're going to understand it. So I don't think that it's all there yet to totally help teach us a language. I think you still need to have some understanding of it. But even if you're not doing any, yeah, like you
I
know
don't
nothing
know,
about
man.
it.
Like straight up, I sat down with 5 times with Python experts at one point in time. Like, okay, get Python set up, get Python running for me. We got nowhere, and then in Fabric, Mim sent me some code that I was able to like slightly modify, and I was able to create some notebooks that worked and did what I wanted to do with. But I didn't understand what was happening and the function. This allowed me to actually go in and do all sorts of things. Did I have to like modify some of this stuff? Yeah, but like it started me down the path of learning Python while allowing me to progress in all these areas with low effort. I think this is fantastic.
I would agree with you, right? I mean, as I got more and more into Python, all the co-pilots weren't there. I started a lot with using just ChatGPT. That'll help you quite a bit too, giving you the code examples and then copying it over, and then from there progress into maybe using Visual Studio Code and go ahead and pay whatever it is a month for Copilot and GitHub, right?
Yeah.
It's probably going to be cheaper for you than trying to get a P1. And then if you're lucky enough to be working at a place that you do have access to a P1, get it enabled and do it right up there. That is kind of a progression I see for a lot of people.
Holy cow. Hey, look at this. Well, sorry. While you were talking, it said an option came up. It said, hey, would you like to create a scatter plot to visualize the relationship between two numerical columns?
Did that come up without you prompting anything?
asked me if I wanted to do that. I said yes. Or I clicked on, yeah, go ahead, create it, because it had asked
Okay.
for that. And then it ran, and it said it explained how this stuff worked.
Mm-hmm.
And now it created this Python code. I'm going to insert it. And again, I'm going to look at it, like, what's it doing? Okay, it's scatter chart, yearly income, number of cars owned. Show.
Yeah, so it's still using the pandas data frame.
This is pretty awesome, man.
Yeah. I don't think the data tells us a whole lot yet, but you're right. I mean, to get to that point of just kind of going,
Yeah.
I'm not clustered in any particular way using a scatter chart. That's useful
Right.
information as well.
And
So
if I came up here and started to do some changes in my data set, right? Like I could rapidly iterate through this to produce an analysis around if I was trying to figure out more about like number of cars owned and stuff like that, that would be totally
this is trying to say, is there a correlation between yearly income and the number of cars you own? So, which I guess in a way, yeah, this is telling us, well, somewhat, as you hit to just before that $100,000, and it tends to go up on the number of cars you have, but then you have this kind of outlier that somebody's at 150,000 but still only owns one car. And that's only out of 1,000 of the ones that you're looking at. So you're right. If you went and took that limit off,
Right.
you might, and then you run everything from that cell forward, this probably would show us a little bit different thing. But you got your skeleton out there already and tweak things, and you didn't put hands on keyboards for hardly anything into the code part.
Right.
It's amazing.
Right. I mean, this is fantastic. I'm now super jazzed about getting to do more with Python, getting more out of this, and it's all because Copilot is right here. And I mean, if you think about it, for that, like, I mean, because like, let's quick talk. Let me shut this down. We got to wrap it up.
I was going to say we got to wrap up. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just wrap it up. The point I was going to make, I'm going to cover on Wednesday, next week.
A week from Wednesday, right?
What's that?
A week from this coming Wednesday?
No. Fabric capacities with Nate Finley is Wednesday. We're going to be talking about the advantages of the fabric capacities, how to cost them, how to manage them, all sorts of stuff. Nate owns that feature inside of inside of Fabric, so we're going to be talking deep about that. And gosh, I can't wait to go and talk more about it. But thank you guys all for joining us. We are super late, so Kevin, any last words?
No last words, and thanks for joining us. Glad to be back, and we'll see you next week.
Awesome. Peace.
If I can find my camera.
Baker Tilly Digital combines strategic industry insight and advanced technical expertise to uncover and solve your digital transformation challenges. If you're interested in learning more, check out our website at bakertilly.com/digital.